Man, checking in. Appreciate you checking in. Slime Gang Swazo. See you, brothers. Appreciate you checking in. Olivia. Everybody, where you from, Slime Gang? Olivia, tell them where you from. Let's check in. We're going to talk raw tonight. We're going to be candid. We're going to talk tonight. We're going to keep it real tonight. Rod Wave fan page, I feel you. Appreciate you checking in. Got a good show tonight. We're gonna talk candid here. And I want some of you to join me this time. Inglewood, California. Inglewood up to no good. I see you. Inglewood is in the building. I appreciate you checking in. We're gonna have a good conversation. We're gonna keep it raw. We're gonna keep it real. We're gonna talk, we're gonna say what it is. And either, we want you to be honest with not just us, but be honest with yourself. And one of the things I want to talk about tonight on Settle the Score is, our flaws. People have a tendency to not want to admit, recognize, accept their flaws. So tonight, I want us, it's not going to be a long show, but we're going to be candid. We're going to be real. And I want you to join in if you want. Anytime you want to join in and go live with me when you have questions, or if you want to go live with me and talk about some of your flaws, because we're going to talk about flaws tonight. I think people have a tendency to try to be perfect. When I say perfect, I mean in public. You are who you are when nobody's looking, right? And I think if we continue to hide who we are instead of accept our flaws and try to fix them for the good. You can't fix anything that needs to be fixed if you don't recognize that it needs to be fixed, right? You can't say, hey, I need to be better if you don't think you need some improvement. And that's what I want us to talk about tonight. Just recognizing and accepting that we all have flaws. And you'd be surprised at how many people just don't want to admit they have any flaws. People see it as a sign of weakness when in fact it's a sign of strength and an opportunity to grow. Once you admit there is a quote unquote problem, then you can find a solution, and it makes you a better and more well-rounded person. Just start out with myself. I have no problem with, admitting some of my flaws. One of my flaws, and let's start with character flaws, because we can all come up with physical flaws that we wish were different, right? That we call flaws because society has told us what's nice looking and what's not. When you are born, you don't have any concept of what's pretty or ugly. It's what we're taught that we begin to have insecurities about our physical flaws. So for this issue, and tonight I want to talk about our character flaws a little more. One of mine is that, I'm a perfectionist to some degree. Well, what's the downfall of being a perfectionist? One, I had to admit that was my issue. It wasn't, that I just want to be better than anybody. It really just had to be perfect. And so there's issues that come with that, right? When you're a perfectionist, you expect perfectionism, and you expect people around you. Your expectation of others is to be perfect, and that's just not the case. And it's not fair to them and the people around you to hold them to a standard that high because you're that high. And what that does as a perfectionist is set yourself up for failure, right? Why? Because one, we're not perfect. There's going to be mistakes. And if you can't accept that there are going to be mistakes, you're going to continuously have those mistakes. So that's one of my flaws that I have, is trying to be a perfectionist and expecting people around me to be perfectionists. Now, tonight, any of you wave at me, hit me in the inbox to join. I really would like some of you to be comfortable in your own skin and join us live and tell everybody, what is one of your, flaws that you feel is one of your flaws, and what it is that it has caused around you, it has affected you or affected the people around you. How did you find out? What are you doing to try to fix it? We want to hear about it. And really, it's just having a conversation. Like Pierre down there, I see you, Pierre, said that you being loyal. Let's talk about that. If you want to, let's get Pierre in here and let's talk about it. It's okay. We're talking candid tonight. Um, and I want everyone to be comfortable in speaking on whatever their self-proclaimed flaws are. Pierre, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, Pierre. Glad to join you. I can't see you. Is your video covered up?
Yeah, I got the screen protector on my video.
Okay, I got you. Well, since we
Yeah.
can hear your voice, so how about tell everyone what you feel like one of your flaws is?
I'm loyal to a fault, and sometimes I have a problem with walk on the way. I try to give people chance after chance after chance, and sometimes that's not good.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. How?
But I'm
Mm.
learning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. How has it affected you though? How, like what has happened as a result of you being loyal to a fault?
Um, been in relationships too long, tolerated things off of people that I shouldn't have, and it caused me to, suffer, caused me to be sometimes, I wouldn't say depressed, but be sad at sometimes.
Right, right. No,
Yeah.
it's actually.
And
Go
it,
ahead. Hmm.
yeah.
Go ahead.
And
Yeah,
yeah, so that's some of the problems.
yeah.
It just
And Pierre is actually quite common. You know, um,
yeah.
I myself often talk about being loyal to a fault, and it causes us to put ourselves in situations and it causes us to sacrifice ourselves, sacrifice our feelings, and sometimes it feel like other people, to some degree, don't care. Right? That's the way it makes.
And yeah.
That's
And
the way it makes you feel. Right?
and another one, I kind of sort of sacrificed my daughter because I let her be on an AAU team for 3 years. I should have left 3 years ago to get her better training, get her more exposure. And because of convenience and friendships, I kept her there too long. And I always tell her, and sometimes I feel like I have to apologize to her for putting her in that situation so she can go somewhere to be seen. She's the class of 2022,
Mm,
and so that's another one. And we kind of trying to work out the not the bears, but the problems, the things that led to that, and we're trying to put her on a good team so she can be seen because she expressed to me that she wanted to play college ball, and I said, well, are you want to do the work? We have to be on a travel team. We got to hit the ground running, and she was friends with the girls. And I said, baby girl, you got to leave your friends behind. Everybody can go where you're going, and so I'm trying to get that in her head. You got to. I know you love them and they good people, but they can't go where you go. You can't take everybody with you. When Jesus prayed, he left the disciples home. We went up to the mount. He said, "I got to leave you here. I got to be about my Father's business."
right.
You can't take everybody with you.
No, that's a great
But
point, and we've often
yeah,
talked about that. Um, and I'm gonna talk about that now. I appreciate you checking in there, Pierre. Thank you so much for that
all right,
that testimony there. Um, that is an absolute great point, especially in basketball. I see it all the time, and we teach team, we teach loyalty, but and basketball is a team sport, right? However, recruiting is an individual process, right? And everybody is not meant for the same walk as you. I've often talked about this, whether it's basketball or in life, you'll have friends around, so-called friends, and you have to understand, if you're given a gift, whether it be talented in basketball, everybody has a different gift, or if they got the same gift, it may be a different walk or a different process. So you have to be willing to take that path yourself. You have to be willing to make the sacrifices for you as an individual. Um, at the end of the day, you have to do what is in your best interest, because people will drag you down with them. There are people out there that are degree at the world, and you haven't known them, but they're upset how the world is. And I talk reality, and it's unfortunate, and I wish it was different. But let's speak reality. Everybody that's around you is not your friends. Everybody that hangs out with you don't have your best interests. I can't tell you how many incidents I've known of kids that, and just recently, this week, of incidents of kids that have lost so much by being with the wrong crowd. So when we talk about loyalty, okay, there's layers to loyalty. Your first loyalty, is it to you or your friends, right? So what's loyalty? So if your friends are not loyal to themselves, if they don't care about themselves, what makes you think they're going to care about you? So you have to be loyal to yourself first, just as they should be loyal to themselves. They should make the right decisions for themselves. Unfortunately, everybody don't live by the same rules, right? Everybody don't follow the same paths. So not everyone believes in loyalty the way you do. If they're loyal to you, even if they're going to do something that they know is not right, or that's illegal, whether it's smoke weed or whether it's um, skip school or whatever it is, if they're really loyal to you, if they're really your friends, they're not going to let you be involved, because they know you have a different path. Now, they may have given up hope on themselves. We don't know, right? But if they're your friends, if they're really loyal to you, and they know that you work all the time in basketball and you're a star, and everybody, they see the potential in you, and they're truly a friend, they're not going to put you in situations that are going to cause you to lose your opportunity. And you really need to understand that. That happens more than times than not. I always encourage athletes to hang with athletes. Now that doesn't mean they're exempt, but usually athletes, for the most part, um, all have the same similar goals, so they know right and wrong, and not try to do things that are going to be detrimental to them, reaching their goals, or whether it's college, NBA, or whatever. Um, so I really encourage athletes, and they naturally become your friends, because they're the ones that's on your team. They're the ones that go to practice with you. They're the ones that are, always around, because y'all go to McDonald's together after the game, and so forth and so forth. All right. The problem comes in when you go back home, and those kids that didn't have anything to do after school may not have the same guidance, may not have a hobby or a sport or anything tangible that they can put their hands on as a dream. It's unfortunate so many people in this world, especially young people, don't have a dream. They don't have an outlook that they that they can positively follow. They have no examples in their life, right? So doing that, they fall to the wayside and make mistakes. And unfortunately, athletes sometimes, being quote unquote loyal to that friend, can sometimes get them in trouble. Let's use an example of this. Let's say, for example, one of your friends from school, right? They're not necessarily an athlete, they're just one of your friends. Well, some guy was talking trash to him, and maybe told him he was going to do this or that to him. Well, when he asked you, yo, let's go see old dude, or let's go handle that, two things should go through your mind, right? One, if he was my friend, would he ask me to go, knowing that I got a goal, I got something I'm trying to do? Would he put me in that situation, right? And then two, you got to ask yourself, should you put yourself in that situation? Because remember, your loyalty has to be to you, has to be to you, right? It works on layers. I often talk, I was telling someone this, it works on layers. My staff, it's just like the rings around the planet. You got rings that are closer to you and that work your way out. That's how your loyalty should lie. Those closest to you, you being yourself, then your family, then maybe your friends, and so forth and so forth. There's layers to this, right? So if you're jeopardizing my own, uh, goals in my life and my outlook and everything that I have going for me, are you really loyal to me? So that word, I think, gets pushed around a lot, and we consider ourselves loyal, but really loyalty starts within ourselves. Another flaw of mine, as we go through this, I'm going to talk about my flaws because I want some of you to join in and talk about your flaws, right? Because we're going to be open. Again, there's nothing wrong with admitting you have flaws. We're imperfect people. We make mistakes. The one thing you have to continuously tell yourself, it's okay, right? It's okay. At the end of the day, it's okay. I'm still alive. I'm not like, it's okay, right? So let's start with some of these flaws. Like one of mine is um, I'm a people pleaser, right? Oh, I can't tell you how many times. It doesn't matter who I'm talking to, if I'm a friend, blah, blah, blah. If they got a problem, I try to find a solution. Um, this sometimes get in the way, and this mostly with people that I know very well, is sometimes it's just best to listen, right? Instead of trying to solve other people's problems. Because one thing I've learned in trying to solve other people's problems is once we solve that, they're going to ask you to solve the next one. And then their friend is going to bring their problem. So it's a never ending battle of trying to solve other people's problems. And I think, myself included, being a people pleaser, I've done more to please and solve other people's problems while continuing to have my own. I mean, I think one thing we all have to understand and realize and be real about is we all have issues. There's nobody on this timeline that does not have some type of problem or issue or something they wish was better. Or, it doesn't matter whether you're arguing with your spouse or arguing with your parents, or you're not getting along with your brother and sister, your grades are bad, your friends are talking about you, you gain too much weight. We could go on and on and on and on. All right. We could go on and on. Everybody has issues, right? Some are worse than others. But at the end of the day, it's okay. It's okay. It's going to be okay. You have to work through your issues. Being a people pleaser, I have always tried to, um, have that person look and see, well, if you can't do this, can you do that? And then feeling guilty myself when I couldn't help them through their problems. And so what happens is their problems became my problems. And now I got my problems and their problems on top of the problems I already had, and it became or becomes over weight on my shoulders and stressful, and those type of things, and we have to sit back and realize we can't solve the world, we can't help everybody. That's unfortunate, but that is one of my flaws, is trying to be a people pleaser. Anybody else got any flaws they want to share with the group here today and talk about and be blunt about how it's, hurt you or helped you or detrimental to you or why you wish to change it? Anybody got anything they want to share? It's okay. What I say, it's okay. At the end of the day, don't be shy about it. I think it shows tremendous strength to be able to recognize and accept any flaws you may have, especially in your character, because it's going to only improve who you are. Um, and we should always look to, to improve ourselves. We should work consistently at trying to prove ourselves. Improve ourselves, because being that we are imperfect, the only thing we can do is work toward being better. You'll never be at the end of that road where you're perfect, but you continuously work to get better and get better. You're going to make mistakes along the way. We've all made mistakes. We all have a past. If you live long enough, you're going to make more mistakes. No matter how old you are, you're going to learn from a very young age of being a toddler walking around and touching that stove and know it's hot. You've made a mistake of touching it, but you learn from that mistake not to touch that stove again. So that's the importance of learning from our mistakes, is not to do them again. And what can we learn from it? Why did it come about that way? What happened because of me doing that? How can I prevent that from happening again? So those are the type of things we try to learn from the mistakes we made. Um, I think hey, I can continue talking about my flaws. I got 1,000 of them that I would love to work on and try to fix. And I'm not ashamed to talk about it because I'm a work in progress, just like you. And it just depends on what kind of progress you're trying to make. Um, Whether that's a progress that moves forward or a progress going backwards, we're all going to make some type of progress daily. You're either going to get better or get worse. So you have to make the decision. And one way of making the decision for a positive is admitting you got some things you could work on, like we all do. Don't be afraid of it. All right, admit it. Um, Another one of my problems probably is I'll allow my mood or how I'm feeling to be controlled by people around me, right? Um, and when I say that, maybe my friends or my close friends or family members, when they're sad, I'm sad. When they're hurt, I'm hurt. Um, when they're in a bad mood, I can get in a bad mood. So I think one of the things that I'm consistently working on is trying to step back from their feelings and recognize their feelings and help them through it instead of me taking on that burden as well. Um, People can say some really cruel things, whether it's your friends in the park, in the school or wherever. People can say things that really can hurt your feelings or make you feel bad or make you feel inadequate or make you feel, you know, less of worthiness, all of the feelings that can come from that. But we have to continuously tell ourselves and be in control of our own feelings and understand that the world is is not rosy. It's not always a great place. And we got to learn how to make our way in this world. We have to learn how to maneuver through without letting this world take advantage of us or hurt us or cause us to hurt ourselves or whatever it is. We have to really have a control of our own mental state and not let others have control of that. Understanding that people are not always going to agree with you. People are not always going to be kind to you. People are not always want to see the best in you. And it goes back to it's okay. They should be allowed to have their opinions and feelings, whether you feel that's true or not. You control your mindset. You can't let other people run the joystick of your life. You run it. We can't control what people say to us. We can't control what people do to us. But what we can control is how we react to it, right? So just because let's say somebody in the mall come up to you and slap you for no reason, Well, there are ways that you can't control that. They want to come up and slap you and you weren't ready for it. That's what they're going to do. But what you can do is control how you react to it. So there's options all the time. Do I slap them back? Do I yell at them? Do I cuss them out? Do I call the police? There's a load of things that you can do. So you have to learn to make the right reaction that's going to be take control of the situation and control of yourself while not putting you in a harm's way in any type of way. So those things are sometimes difficult to do, although we can say them, but we have to learn to do those type of things for our own well-being. Anybody join in if you got any flaws that you would like to talk about. I know Pierre said earlier his loyalty to a fault. And I think this right here, just the fact that we have people on the line, but they are afraid to actually admit to some degree what actually is hampering us, what's actually hurting us, what actually is getting in the way of our progress. What are the flaws that we can work on? That's something that people don't like to talk about. They don't like to face. It makes them uncomfortable, right? Well, that's where the insecurities of yourself come in, and you have that little voice in you that's telling you, no, you're not. You're not that. That's just people saying that. Well, the old saying, if enough people said it, maybe you need to look into it because maybe it's true, right? And we have to be honest with ourselves. I know there's some things people say about me that, I may not agree with, like, but I have to self-evaluate if I want to not be seen as that type of person. I have to self-evaluate if I'm trying to improve my life. I can't, get mad at people for speaking what they see, or what I make them feel, because that's their truth. So I have to self-evaluate and ask myself, well, I may not have meant it that way, but did I do anything that could be perceived as the way they felt? And if we can do that and admit our flaws and admit some of the things that we do wrong, then we can work on fixing them, right? So does anybody have anything tonight? We've done our 30 minutes tonight, but I would love to have anybody, if you have any questions for me, or you want to chime in and go live with me and speak to the group and talk about maybe some things that you found in yourself that were not to your liking, that you wish you could change, or that you're working on, or that people say, those type of things. Don't be afraid to speak out. Don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to talk about, your life. Don't be afraid to admit things aren't perfect, because we're not perfect. No matter how much we may want to be perfect, no matter how much we want to do our best, we fall short, and that's because we're not perfect. And that's okay. It always go back to it's okay. It's all about working on ourselves. I know myself, again, I'm consistently trying to work on myself. Um, Many of you, don't know me past basketball, but I've had a past just like everyone else. I've made mistakes just like everyone else. I've done things wrong and regret things just like everyone else, because I'm not perfect, and I'm going to make mistakes before I leave this earth. Whether it be tonight, tomorrow, next week, next year, it doesn't matter. We're all going to make mistakes because we're imperfect people. What we can do is recognize our mistakes, look to correct them, and see, if we can prevent from having, doing it again. And that's the main thing that I'm working on. And I hope that you can continue to work on. One of the things that when I see my clients at Changing the Game, lifecoach.com, when I'm seeing clients, one of the things we talk about is facing our fears. One of our fears is our flaws. People fear the fact that they have flaws. They don't want people to see them in what they consider a negative light. Um, Everything can be corrected, right? Everything that's broke at one point wasn't broke, right? And it can be fixed. You know, some things take longer than others. But the first thing is finding the problem. Once you find the problem, then you can work toward fixing it. You know, it may take 10 minutes, it may take 10 days, it may take 10 months. We don't know. But what you do is you move toward that effort every day. Every day you can continue to work on yourself, being a little better every day. There's people that will unfollow me now, because I post a lot of positives, right? I post a lot of positive quotes, or whether it's me or other people quotes is positive. So I lose people by it. You know, some people don't want to see a positive person or a positive me putting positive things out there. But if I was to post a world star fight, or a um, video of some people doing a ridiculous TikTok, right? That they'll oh, I'll get likes and shares and comments and everything if I post something negative, right? But I made a conscious effort that I'm not going to stay in a negative state of mind. And if I lose followers along the way, good, because that's going to make room for more positive people. I am really working toward helping people that want to be positive in their life. Even if they feel like things aren't going well right now, it's okay. It's okay. We're going to work toward making it be better. You know, if you're feeling like you're not worthy, I'm here to let you know that's not true. You're worthy. That's why you're here, right? So if you're feeling like you can't get it done, I'm here to tell you can't get it done because you don't believe you can get it done, right? If you believe you can get it done, you can get it done. You know, when I started getting me recruited, I was told, Lamont, you can't do that. Too many people are doing it, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And I am a strong believer. If whatever you want to do, why not try? We live in a country, whether it's a good country by your standards or bad country by your standards, one thing is for sure, you have opportunities that a lot of other countries don't have. So if you wanted to go out and say, you know what, next week I'm going to start, I want to try to be a doctor, I want to try to be a dentist, I want to, whatever it is, it does not matter. You can actually go think about that. You can actually go do it. If today I said, you know what, my lifelong dream was to be a dentist, I let it pass me by. No, if I want to, I can go back. There's no age limit. I can go back to school, take the dentistry classes, work my tail. If I want it bad enough, I can work hard enough. I can actually be a DDS dentist. I can. I have the opportunity. Everything you want is within you. You have the opportunity. You have to decide whether you're willing to sacrifice enough to make it happen. That's it. Most people talk about what they want, but not what they're willing to do to get it. They don't want to talk about the sleepless nights or the missing family time or doing homework late night hours. Nobody wants to talk about that. But that's the process. You can actually do it if you want to do it. So I'm a real believer that, staying positive, even when things are not, in a very positive light for you right now. And that's going to happen a lot. The other day, and I haven't posted this yet, but the other day I was walking, as many of you know, if you know me, I walk on the trail, or I ride my bike on the trail almost every day if it's not raining or I'm not taking a day off, but I'm always on the trail. And the other day I was walking on the trail and I came to this tunnel, right? I came to this tunnel. I've gone through this tunnel probably 1,000 times because every time I bike, I go through this tunnel. But when I was going through this tunnel this time, I actually walked this time. It's probably about 4 or 5 miles away from my starting point. And I got to this tunnel, and that tunnel the whole situation just spoke to me, right? So when you see me post these posts and these quotes, if you see my picture in it, these are actual thoughts that I had. Those are actual quotes that I thought of situations I thought of. And so when I came up to this tunnel, it was just, and I was going to post it. I might post it tonight since I'm going to show you all tonight. So this post right here, um, and what I'll do is I'll show it to you in a little bit, but I'm going to post it tonight. But as you can see, you see that tunnel, and we'll look at the words when I post it. But if you look at that tunnel, you can't see it on the screen right now, the words. But as I was coming through that tunnel, what it looked like to me and what it represented to me, because I was pretty tired and it was a hot day, it was like no matter how bad things are, no matter how bad they seem right at this moment in your life, right? No matter how dark that tunnel is, no matter how long that tunnel is, there's always, if you walk far enough, if you keep going further enough, there's going to be light at the end of that tunnel. And I was dog tired. I was really like, man, I'm just tired of walking. But I got to one end of the tunnel and I could see at the other end. And that's what came to me was, you know what? There's always an end to dark tunnels. There's always an end to bad situations. They get better. They get better. They don't stay that way forever, right? So I wanted to share that with you guys tonight, and as one of the things that I will be posting a little later on. I know we got Shivers basketball. Again, if any of you want to join and share anything, that's what we're going to do. Let's see if my man Shivers is in here. See if we can get him to join. My man Chris, and if not today, maybe next time, because we don't have much time. But what I want to do is give you all the opportunity to speak on it. If there's any flaws you feel you have or have impacted you in any type of way, do not hesitate to speak up and let me know. Let's see who else we got here. All right, Brandon, you've been wanting to get in. Let's see. We're going to add Brandon out. Brandon wants to get in. Let's see what Brandon has tonight. We're going to join with Brandon.
Hello.
Brandon, how you doing?
I'm doing good, sir. How about you?
I'm doing good. Brandon is in Inglewood, California, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, and Brandon. All right. So, hold on, young man. Hold on. We're going to get you right. All right. Let's hold on. Listen to me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got my headphones in. Yeah.
Okay. I want you to put the ball down for me, and I want you to
All
look
right.
at me for a second.
All right.
All right.
All right.
How old are you? How old are you, Brandon?
17.
17, right? You're a young
Yeah.
man. You're growing up. Let me tell you the first thing I want you to always do, right? I want you to remember this, because we're talking tonight about flaws and things that you can do to improve yourself, right? So the one thing I want you to remember, if you don't remember anything else from this conversation, is when you're having a conversation with anyone, whether it's a Zoom, a telephone call, whether it's face to face, no matter what it is, I want you to give them your undivided attention and look them dead in the eye. You got what I'm saying? Um,
Yes, sir.
because as a young man, you have to always express yourself, and people are to take you serious and to understand, who you are and what you represent by you looking them in the eye and letting them know, right? So, what are some of the things? Let's just name one thing, Brandon, if you could change about you that you would like to change, like that you wish you would like to work on. Just give me one thing.
That I would like to work on.
And not basketball. Let's talk about
All
you
right.
as
Life in general.
let's talk about
All
you as a person.
right. Not blowing off people, I guess.
Blowing
Like
off people.
giving people a chance.
Okay. All right.
Seeing things to the end. Stuff like that.
Okay. And why is that important?
Because I feel like I had burned too many bridges that could have been sent to me. That missed opportunities, I guess, that I just blew out because it didn't seem good outright. But I feel like if I were to see it through to the end, it would have been beneficial to me.
Right. No, that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up because more and more with your generation, I'm seeing, and it's not uh, just something you do. It's something many young folks do. Is they sometimes blow people off because they don't know how to properly communicate, right? And when you don't know how to properly communicate, you sometimes lose opportunities, and you lose friends, and you lose business opportunities, and you may lose things that you don't understand that you're losing. So I think that's a great point. I'm hoping somebody else that is joined will understand, maybe have the same problem you have. And it's great that you're recognizing that. And I can tell just by your attention that you are a guy that has a lot of potential. And I don't know who you are as a basketball player, but I'm talking to you as a young man that regardless of whether you go on to play in the NBA or you go on to a boardroom, these are the characteristics you got to have to be successful, right? So I want to appreciate you getting on the call and sharing that with everybody and letting them know that that's something that you're working on. I appreciate you, Brandon.
All right, so I appreciate you too for the advice.
Take you. Take care.
Like, all right.
So I really appreciate when my young people call in and they open themselves up to be real about it. Don't be afraid to talk about the things that you can improve about yourself, because just that young man saying that in front of all of you lets me know he's serious about maybe changing those characteristics. He recognizes, you know what, I've lost some opportunities just by blowing people off. And really blowing people off unintentionally is usually a sign of not properly knowing how to communicate. If you noticed, when he got on the phone, on the call, he wasn't even looking at the camera. And, he had the basketball because he was uncomfortable. So you learn to recognize those things when you're dealing with young folks. As long as I have, you start recognizing, it's not, sometimes they deal with their anxiety by doing things that would seem like they're blowing you off, but they're actually dealing with, anxiety or being uncomfortable or not knowing what to say and being not knowing how to communicate properly. So that's a common problem amongst young folks. And again, at changingthegamelifecoach.com, I deal with that a lot. I deal with that a lot. So I really appreciate Brandon jumping on that call from Inglewood, California, and sharing that with the group. If no one else has anything, I think we had a really great talk this week. I think we had a really great talk this week, and we're going to end it here. I want to appreciate everybody, joining in, talking. Uh, uh, yes, so he was working out, listening to my motivational speak as he was working out, and I do need to give my people, absolutely, Brandon. I can't tell you how proud of you that made me, because you're a mature young man for 17. I just love it because right in front of everyone's eyes, we see a young man who has the potential to be so great and recognizes, if it's just one small thing that he can improve himself, well, guess what? That's one thing closer to achieving his goals, whatever they are, because he's working on himself. So again, I appreciate Brandon from Inglewood checking in, and I appreciate him listening to this, live, because we have so many young folks that need people in leadership to help them with, how to navigate through this world. It's a crazy world right now. So we have to teach them how to prepare themselves for all types of situations, whether it's professional, whether it's personal, whether it's situations that they should never have to be in, but they may be in one day. We have to be, as leaders and examples and mentors, to help these young folks make their way through. Again, yeah, I'm Lamont Taylor of Get Me Recruited, and also the CEO of Changing Life, thegamelifecoach.com. You can find both of my social media um, right here on IG, as well as Twitter and Facebook, either at Get Me Recruited or changingthegamelifecoach.com. So again, I want to thank you all for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow on Courtside Conversations when we got the one and only, y'all know him. If you're in basketball, I'm pretty sure you're aware of who this young man is by the name of Michael Lancaster. I'm excited to have him here. If you don't know who he is, look him up. I mean, he's very well known across the world, not just the country, but across the world, because he is a top-notch trainer, and we have him tomorrow night right here on Courtside Conversations. I'm Lamont Taylor. I appreciate you for being here, and we'll see you next time.